My name is Vasiliki. I studied several languages, but I only work with 3 of them professionally, so Greek, English and French. I primarily work with English into Greek, and I am a translator. And I became a translator, I can't remember the precise moment, in fact, because it's been so intertwined within everything in my life, because I was born into a very multicultural environment where different dialects were spoken. And I've always had that aptitude for languages and the passion of communication and cultural development and understanding. So it was very normal and natural for me to go on and do a degree in English and linguistics, because I've had family living in England and they influenced quite a lot my education and career choices, and they helped me understand where my true passion was. And after my English degree, towards the end, I took a few different modules to understand perhaps what I want to do after. And my translation professor at university was so passionate and so good at what he did that transferred this passion for translation across to all the students. And that was the moment when I thought, okay, this is what I want to do next. I want to study translation. And so I went on and did a master's degree in business translation and interpreting. And I started getting work while I was doing my MA degree. So it happened very quickly during my MA degree. And I had work when I finished. Of course, it was very difficult at the beginning. And, lots of questions to ask around, how do you actually become a translator? But that was my path that led me to becoming a translator. It's very difficult, especially when you start, but don't give up, because if you really love it and you are good at it, you are going to make it. So it takes a lot of perseverance and patience and hard work, and go into it knowing that you are a very valuable professional and treat yourself as a professional and as a business. And if you do have that business mindset developed from the beginning, that's a very good start. There are a lot of practical tips I could give for those who are starting out now or thinking about it. One of them would be, if you're not a qualified translator, but you do want to become one, try and look into the various options that there are out there for you, because there are several degrees and universities, there are diplomas that are offered to people. They are going to help you a lot to understand the difficulties, the techniques, the strategies, and give you the right tools that you need in order to succeed. And don't be afraid of technology, because translation technology is there to help us become faster, more productive, more consistent, and essentially develop higher quality work. And quality should essentially be the number one priority of a good translator. But that alone does not guarantee that somebody will succeed, because life is difficult. So you can't only be a very good translator, because yes, you are one, but if nobody knows about you and what you do, then you're not going to be getting the clients and the work that you need. So working a lot on your business profile, on your marketing strategy is also very essential. So it would be good to get together a business plan that has within it a marketing strategy plan as well. And I know these words can sound very big and very scary and very complex, and maybe, maybe a bit flowery and businesslike, but a business plan can be as simple as 5 sentences written on a notepad. It's just there for guidance to keep you on track and keep you developing. And the other thing is, being a translator can be a very isolating and lonely job at occasions. So it's very important to join an association, go out there, meet your colleagues, network, because that's how you will essentially develop and find clients for yourself. And also it gives you the opportunity to actually talk about what you do and also your problems, because when you sit on your own at your desk working away and something happens to you, either it's work related or personal, and you don't have a good circle around you to share that with, especially with people that will understand you because they do the same job as you do, then you can easily feel that sense of isolation, which is not a good place to be. So definitely very good training, and keep developing and keep learning more and more as much as you can. And I know all this sounds like a lot, but that's why I would then also say that it's very important to specialize, because if you specialize, you can look at a list of events, let's say, that you want to go to in order to meet clients or colleagues or other professionals that relate to what you do. And you can choose, oh, well, this is about medicine. I'm not working with medical text, so I'm not going to go to that one. But this is about law, and I work with legal documents, so this is more relevant to me. So having a specialization helps you also form your strategy in a more targeted way that is going to also help you be more time efficient. So I think these would be perhaps the top 5 maybe things I would say. When I started, I didn't know that much, right, about anything really. Yes, of course, I did a master's degree in translation and interpreting, but my network was not as big as it is now. And when I was a student, I joined the Institute of Linguists, and I started coming to all the events. And I got to meet several wonderful colleagues that then, after chatting to them on a few occasions, they've referred me to their clients, because I know many times we might think of other translators as simply competitors, but we're all so different and we all have something so different to offer. So I see everybody else as a strong supporting network, because I don't translate into Spanish or into French or into Finnish, but I know others who do. So I will give my clients their contact. So that way you get referrals and you also get the support network that you need in order to feel that you're not by yourself. And you get to learn quite a lot, because one degree is simply not enough. It will give you the very good foundation and the motivation perhaps and the tools, but then there's a lot of work you have to do on your own, and CIOL can provide that with all the training and the workshops and the seminars and the Members' Day event, because you can pick and choose which event you want to go to and learn more and meet more people. And that's just a wonderful way of understanding that you're not by yourself in this, and that you're a true professional, and that there are others like you who then even at some point might become your clients. So it's very good. It's been very good for me in terms of referrals, growing my network, developing as a professional with the continuing development events, and also very practical things such as, for example, having some trouble and needing to speak to somebody who is a law professional and discuss something that has gone wrong in my business, let's say, and it's perhaps a legal matter, or I want to get a little bit of advice on something that I'm not very sure about. So we have a legal helpline, we have things like business insurance packages and all that, which are there to support any translator or any linguist as a professional, not just as a translator, but it's there to offer a holistic sort of package that supports them. To prepare for a translation assignment, I think it's very important to really understand the assignment first. So have a very good look at the documents involved. Sometimes things can be very rushed and very quick, so you will not have time to read absolutely everything. But do go through the documents and try and understand, is this document really a medical document as the client supports it is, or is it in fact something to do with engineering? Because sometimes if the client cannot read the language, somebody else has told them this is a contract about engineering work, and it ends up it's not, it's something entirely different. Or they think it's Russian, but actually it's not, it's Bulgarian. So have a good look at the documents, really understand what is the niche, what is the area that they're asking of you to translate. Make sure that this is within your scope of skills and expertise, because we cannot agree to take on absolutely everything. And then make sure the client and you understand what is being asked to be delivered, because translation to me means one thing, to my client might mean something else. So a brief in that case would be what I would advise, that it's there, that a brief is there, and that is very clear, and it could include things like, from very basic things like the deadline or the delivery time or the payment. And I mean, that's a whole different area in terms of agreements and contracts and the things you have signed in advance of taking anything on. But also it's important to agree the style. So what kind of language do you want me to use? Formal, informal? Do you have a style guide that you want me to apply? Or do you want me to keep the formatting? So there are a few things that need to be clarified up front so that everybody has the same understanding of what is being delivered. And then once you have that covered, which is a lot of the preparation work essentially, but the practical preparation work, then we go into other things like, do you have all the tools required for the job? Do you have the appropriate dictionary, or do you know where to go online and look for that specific area for terms, or do you know how to research well the specific specialization area, or other things like, are your translation memories or term bases updated? And are you going to use them? Are you not going to use them? Does the client know you're using them? So all kinds of questions that can really help any translator understand what is being asked of them and communicate that to the client so that everybody has the same understanding. And once everybody does have that same understanding, everybody should be happy with the outcome. A typical day as a translator. A lot of people would say that doesn't exist. Because when you essentially run your own business, you have a lot of external demands. I don't 100% agree with the fact that we have no control over our day, because to me that sounds quite wrong and stressful. So my day tends to start and end the same way every day. But then what happens in between is often dictated by a phone call or an email, which is not great. And it doesn't happen every day. So that's the good thing. So I would tend to start my day with things that are completely irrelevant to my work. So exercise, try to read, try to meditate even for 3 minutes if possible, and then just sit down and write a plan and have a list of things that I want to get done. And what I tend to do is I tend to do a very, very long list, and to some people that's very unproductive and stressful, but I then mark with different colors what things are necessary to be done during that day, and those are red. And everything else I do on top of that is just an amazing bonus. So essentially that's a great way to feel optimistic that you're actually doing more or that you're delivering more, and then I feel more productive, and that helps me go through the day perhaps in a more positive climate. So after I've done that, I would just start usually with the most difficult task, the thing that I don't want to do. I will do it first and then get rid of that. And usually sometimes that would mean translating first thing. Now, it's not to say that I don't want to be translating, of course I do, but that's probably the most difficult task for me that day. So I would like to get it done early, deliver, and then continue with other things like perhaps writing an article for my blog, or putting together my newsletter, or thinking about my marketing and what am I going to do next month, or planning events. So that way I've done what I had to do, and then I relax and I continue with other things. And I always have a lunch break. I will always break my day. And sometimes my lunch break is 2 hours, and I've learned not to feel guilty about it, because I know I then go home and I go back to my office and I feel that I've been away for too long, so I have to work really hard. And then that's what happens, because I feel that I've had such a long break and now I feel the need to go back to work. When I come back in the afternoon, I can be again productive, and that break of the day for me works really, really well. And then towards the end of the day, I try to wrap up the day properly. So I try not to just switch off the computer and leave the office. I will try to tidy up the desk, because that's where I will go the next morning. So I would want to start the day the best way possible. And I tend to make the plan for the next day from the day before, because that way I will go to sleep thinking, yeah, I know what I'm doing tomorrow. It's covered. I don't. The running thoughts are not happening just before sleep time. So I found out that this routine works quite well for me, because I am perhaps that kind of planned and organized person, but it might not work for other people. But then that's why being a translator is such a good career option, because you get to decide what you want to do and when, and what works and what doesn't.